You can win a firefight and still lose the war. So many dealership leaders, they spend their day winning little skirmishes, fixing a deal, smoothing over a customer, solving a service delay. But because there's no war plan, the big mission still fails. That's how you can feel so busy and exhausted and not be effective at moving the mission forward. Because if you're reacting, you're not leading. And in the execution war, reacting is the slow death of results. I'm Chris Hunsaker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, 7 minutes, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. And you're in the war room now, so let's execute. Picture this, if you will. Victor's GSM pulls the whole sales team together for an impromptu save the month push. The energy was high, deals were working, the phones were ringing, and that day they crushed their numbers. But by Friday, they were still short on sales growth. CSI was dropping, and used car recon, the delays were just stacking up. Why? Because all that week, no one was working the war plan. Inventory turn, disciplined follow-up, coaching each of the sales reps on building their pipeline. That was the war plan. The lesson: in war, soldiers win firefights. Leaders make sure the right fight is being fought. Firefights are tactical and they happen in the moment. War plans are strategic and they make sure that the moment where the fight is happening is moving the mission forward. So let's look at what I call the Red Bull dilemma. Secretly, some of you really like firefighting. It makes you feel important, decisive, even heroic, and probably worst off, delusionally effective. Because if your identity is built on chaos, then you're not leading, you're just chasing adrenaline. And if that's the case, might as well get a sponsorship from Red Bull. Firefight should be the exception, not your business model. But when you're getting overwhelmed by the decisions that need to be made, the difficult tasks that you don't want to do, the hard conversations that need to be had, it's so tempting to go chase the bull, to go find that adrenaline rush to solve a problem, fix an issue, get something done, just to get that feeling of being in control, of accomplishing, of getting stuff done. But you're not chasing adrenaline. You're leading men and women in the most important war there is, the war for execution. So how do we get you out of chasing adrenaline back into leading and doing what you do best? I want you to use what I call the 3-level focus tool. And I promise you, you're already doing this. When you're at your best, this is exactly what you're doing. Now, let's look at how we can increase the frequency and the consistency of your ability to work at all 3 levels of your business: mission, priorities, and tactics. The first level is mission. What's the big goal that you're aiming for this month or this quarter? Something like a 45-day inventory turn, or 90% service retention, or $400,000 gross profit for this month in service. The second level is priorities. What are the 2 to 3 activities that are absolutely going to drive that mission? Things like daily unsold follow-up, scheduling 80% of appointments before the day even starts, getting to 2.5 hours per RO. In other words, those specific critical KPIs that are going to drive that mission for you. The third level is tactics, and this is where many of you excel. And this is where you're just deciding what are the key actions, the key plays that your people need to run daily in order to drive those KPIs. So think about it. We've got the mission. What are we trying to get done? Then we've got that narrowed focus to those 2 to 3 priorities, those KPIs that are going to absolutely move the mission forward. Now your focus is on tactics. What are the daily behaviors, the plays and actions that your team needs to run to absolutely own your goals? So how does this help with firefighting? How does this keep you out of just the tactical responses? Because once you know your mission and priorities, then every firefight gets measured against those priorities and that mission. Does this battle move the mission? If not, is it urgent enough to justify the detour? If the mission lives only in your head, your team will default to reacting. You must make it visible, post it, review it in the morning meeting, and definitely revisit it at the end of the day. Share it in the morning meeting. One more time. If the mission lives only in your head, your team will default to reacting. You must make it visible, post it, share it in the morning huddle, and then revisit it at the end of the day. Execution always is role specific and department specific. And I want you to take this framework and I need it to be absolutely crystal clear so you can adopt this to your business, your team, your culture, and your store, because I want you to be able to execute on your goals. Think of a sales manager and his mission, his overall thing he's got to get hit this month or this quarter is he needs to raise used car grosses. That's the mission. His priorities are to reprice every aged unit on Monday, once a week, every week to get repriced. His tactic is that he's going to sit down and review the top 10 aged units at 9:15 in the morning with his team. Can you see the flow there of mission, priority, tactic? How about a service manager whose mission is to move his ELR by $15? Like that's what needs to happen by the end of this month. So his priority is to really tighten up his multi-point inspections. His tactic is to review all flagged suggestions at the end of every day. Now, none of this is rocket science. Okay, this is everyday execution. What I want you to hear is the framework, right? Syntax matters. Having all the ingredients of a recipe matter. And just having great plays and actions and a lot of tactics without priority and without mission just makes you an efficient firefighter. Now it's time to go from insight to action and cross that bridge. Today, before your day starts, before you get on the floor, before you get in the service drive, I want you to stop with a little piece of paper and write down today, what's the mission? What's the mission that we're focusing on? Then, what are the 2 to 3 priorities that you know are going to drive that mission? And then, where's your focus today? What are the tactics, the plays, the actions, the things that your team needs to do to absolutely own and crush today? Every time a firefight pops up, I want you to run it through this filter. Does it move the mission, or is it just expensive noise? Because motion is not progress. If today's efforts don't move the mission, then all it did was cost you energy, time, and margin. Firefights are inevitable. Mission drift is optional. Stay on plan. Win today's war, not just today's noise, and go out today and create some leadership fire. And I will see you tomorrow in the dealership war room.